or guardian or something
Okay,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Hey
yeah.
man, why you gotta leave that out? Whose cup is this?" And there's like 3 or 4 suspects possibly, and like it's like it has to be one of you, and not a single one will say yes.
Yep.
It's like why? It's just a cup. All you gotta do is mentally, oh my bad, and then just go clean it real quick.
Take care of it. I mean, if it was you, like own up to your mistakes. I mean, you're a man, you're a female, whatever it is. I mean, like everyone makes mistakes. If it's a small mistake, just take it. I mean, even if it is a big one, also.
Exactly. You know what they say is like you get more experience from failure than you do success.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, even Elon Musk, they purposely blow up like some of the rock ships to like calculate out like the faults. So like with their fails of the rockets exploding, they're still learning through like that explosion of what to not, like do next time so that doesn't happen. So like they test it with the calculations in hand so that could happen.
Yeah. Shit. I wish I had that much money to do all that.
That's how fucking smart that motherfucker is.
Hey, I want to talk about something else too. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the U.S. Olympics or the Olympics.
Okay, okay. What do you want to talk about?
So, I don't know. This might be a touchy subject.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Um, so I believe one country has a transgender.
I want to say it's New Zealand
Yeah, so
in the
they have a
women's
transgender
weightlifting.
as a female or a male turned into a female. I'm sorry, I don't know the proper words for it, whatever it is, but I don't think that should happen. I mean, it doesn't seem fair at all. If anything, I believe Joe Rogan said this: make a different fucking section for people that switched over.
Well, then there's a whole debate about that. Is that you're kind of separating them into a whole different group when they're technically saying that they're a part of the actual
I
other
mean,
sex is what
I mean,
they're saying. So if you're what you're saying is that they're what they're saying is that you're trying to say, not you necessarily, Samil, but what maybe someone more ignorant would say is that you're not necessarily a female but a trans female, but they really just want to be a normal female or a normal male trans.
So what I gotta say about that is when your genetics level change from a male or female, whatever it is, that's when that's why I would think would be proper to classify you in that group. I
Yeah.
mean, until there's like a permanent change in your DNA where you're not producing testosterone or
The
estrogen.
testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. If you change from male to female, you can't produce any more testosterone. There has to be a cutoff, or there has to be a cutoff essentially.
Well, I
That's
mean,
when I would classify you as a male or female, and the groups at that point won't matter.
I think technically, I think it was Laurel Hubbard that was from New Zealand, is the transgender male to female that's competing for New Zealand's women's weightlifting team. Did pass the required levels of testosterone or something. I'm pretty sure
Really,
she did get below the levels, but at the same time, you spend 30 years as a male, you still have all that
experience.
testosterone and strength and muscle density and bone mass already built up into you. I mean, I agree. I mean, if you're a biological male, I mean, at the end of the day, you do have a biological advantage over like a biological female. And I have
Exactly.
talked to like female athletes I know personally, and a lot of them do say they think it is a little unfair that a biological male who's trans into a or is trans they've what's the word?
Transgendered
Tr-
into a female.
yeah, they transgendered into a female. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if that's what makes you happy, that's fine.
Do you? I mean, like we're not hating at the end of the day. We're
No,
just
yeah.
stating our opinion. Like, I
I
mean,
just
this
yeah,
is
I
how I
think I
feel on
agree
the
with
subject.
you that I don't necessarily think that the cuz like if you look at the other side, you don't see or hear anything about like a trans man like completely dominating or setting records in the men's sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like a completely male to female only kind of thing. It seems like. I mean, I may be wrong. I haven't seen anything about a female to male that's been breaking records or anything. If there
Or that's
has
going to
been,
Olympics.
please post. Yeah, we're going to the Olympics. Give me a link. I will talk about it on the next podcast. But at the moment, I mean, it's just constantly like, like especially in high school, like there's I think one of the northern or like mid northern states like Ohio or something like that or Nebraska. There's like 15-year-old kids breaking like wrestling records and have like 15 records for like high school districts for like women's wrestling
That's
that they're like
it's just not
identifying as
really
females.
fair. I mean, that's how I perceive it at the end of the day. Um, I don't understand the subject 100%, but I think it's just not fair at this point.
Yeah, because these are sports, especially with like combat sports where there's like physical like consequences and like there was what was her name? There was something was it something
I think I heard
Falcon
about
in
that
the
where like
UFC,
it was a fight and
and she
trans
had hidden
changed over.
her um she had hidden that she had transgendered into a woman from from a male.
And she beat the crap out of the other
She
lady, right?
fractured a woman's skull,
Yep.
like and like she fought 3 times, and none of the women knew that it was
Sh-
biologically a male beforehand, and she felt that she didn't have to.
Because her ID said something
Fallon
different.
Fox, I think it was.
Yeah. And I think she said she didn't have to because her ID said something different. Like she got her ID or her gender officially
I think
changed.
she said it was because it was a medical
Maybe
like
that too.
problem,
Yeah.
so she didn't have to disclose it. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, like I've talked to many women who are athletes that don't necessarily feel like it's fair for like a biological male to come into their um category and kind of just be able to clearly just dominate. And I mean, I think Fallon Fox did get knocked out. I mean, there's definitely women who are out there who could compete on an even level with men in any kind of um category
Sport,
or
yeah.
sport, video games, racing, whatever. I mean, there's definitely equal women and men everywhere. But like when it comes to like physical strength,
At the end of the day, it's classified. That's why there's two different classes, male and female, because it's not matched up to the exact level. I mean, think about it. If it was, I think it'd be all one together, whatever it is.
well, I mean, also I think it leads to obvious like physical observable like points of interest, like obviously the groin, the facial hair, the like broadened shoulders and chest on men, the slenderness of women, the wider hips on women, the sleekness of their legs. It just we're physically built different. I mean, that's obviously like probably what came into like the equation is male female is like you can tell a distinct difference between the
Exactly.
two.
One produces testosterone, other one produces estrogen. I mean, at the end of the day, like there's a difference between male and female. That's why they classify it. That's why they classify it. My bad, guys. I'm fucking up with the mic, but
No, no, you're fine, Samil. You're doing pretty good actually. Yeah, I mean, I think if I think I would agree with you that we should have like maybe like a transgender pool and so like kind of like a group of men, woman, and trans. And I don't think it should be like seen as a bad thing. Not necessarily like it's saying you're not necessarily a real woman or like a real man, but since
this
we
is a
haven't
different league.
yes,
Yeah,
all right, since we haven't perfected the science to get it truly, where you can switch over, like truly biologically switch over to the opposite sex that you really want to be and can compete at a fair level with like the same density. 'Cause I mean, that's all about sports. The whole thing about sports is that's why they
it's
got the
fairness.
anti-doping agency in the Olympics.
That's why there's different classes in the UFC, like welterweight, heavyweight.
Yeah, even with
Exactly.
like men and women, there's even separate divisions within that themselves. So like, even if you're like a super elite, high level like flyweight, or even like a bantamweight or something, like if you fight like a heavyweight, it's gonna be pretty hard. Even if you're at like the same skill level, he's still gonna have like an edge over you, which is pure raw strength and like bone mass and density and like
Exactly.
mass.
Bear, we're gonna get canceled, man.
No, man. I mean, that's the whole thing I want is just to have like a civil discussion about it.
Yeah,
We can
yeah,
talk about it.
exactly.
That's what I want about this podcast is to be able to talk about controversial subjects with like an equal standpoint and be able to try to really see each other's view and understand and not really cause hate. I'm not here to cause hate
Yeah,
or
yeah. No, I mean, like
to
something
like
like we're not causing hate. We're just stating our opinions, what we think
and that's what I think
on that
everyone should
subject.
be able to do is be able to state your opinion and everyone be okay with that. I mean, that you shouldn't do it in like a violent or forceful way. Everyone has their opinion. Everyone has a different mindset, and that's what makes them unique. And I feel like everyone should be more accepting of everyone else's opinion and like views and ideologies, because it's detrimental to like your mental health if you're just constantly getting shit on. You feel like you have to forcibly change your opinion to go with the group or the flow so you don't get
Exactly.
attacked. I mean, that's that mob mentality. Is like you should be able to allow free thinking and open mindedness, because you know how many minds there are that could probably enlighten you or give you a different view that you never thought of if you just sat down and listened,
A lot.
instead of just immediately shutting them down and calling them stupid or being ignorant, that you won't even hear the other side's like ideologies or viewpoints, or like maybe they have like a statistic. Or that's another thing, is like, I wish people would focus more on like statistics, numbers, and facts instead of like opinion like
Based.
based, like emotionally driven statements. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, talking about this, so I watched a movie yesterday on Netflix. I forgot the movie's name now, but essentially it was the scene took place in like 1970, 1980, where integration was just happening. So essentially, black folks and white folks are going together at
Like when the Jim
restaurants.
Crow laws were like going
Exactly.
away.
Yeah. So this was like down here in the South. I forget what state it was. Maybe Florida, maybe Georgia. Um, but what ended up happening was, so there's a black leader. She was a female. And they weren't getting treated quite right from. So essentially, the whole property or the area they lived in was bought out by white folks. It was a rich person there. And this is based on a true story. So apparently they weren't taking care of the houses. There's leaks. There's holes in the houses, etc. So she ended up creating kind of a group together to fight against that. They took it to court, or they took it to the city council first. City council denied it. They're on the white people side, like, yeah, we'll give them 90 days to extend it out. Um, they can get it fixed. Blah blah blah. And so at the end of the day, what ended up happening was a Ku Klux member, and also, or sorry, the Ku Klux leader, and also the female were essentially doing. I forgot the name now, but they're essentially partnering together to look at the differences that was being communicated. What ended up happening was the Ku Klux, like, it came down to the last vote. The Ku Klux member ended up voting like, yes, we should get integration done. It doesn't matter. Our kids aren't going to be affected that much. And and like he was pretty much like white power, like, yeah, we don't like black people, etc. At the end of the movie, he ended up changing to like, oh, I don't really understand them. I was looking at a completely different view, and I'm not quite right. And so the movie ended. He ended up changing sides, and they ended up winning the integration, whatever. And he owned a gas station. The gas station ended up getting going broke because none of the white people wanted to come to it anymore. And she ended up coming in. And she brought all of her black folks. I mean, at the end of the day, like, everyone's human. There's a different way of understanding them, and there's a different point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Like that movie sounds like a really good movie that I definitely want to check out. And definitely I think like other people should check out, is that you realize you don't really understand those people or who that person is until you actually talk to them. You can hear things about them. You can hear rumors. You can hear what the news tells you, what the media tells you, what social media tells you. But at the end of the day, if you don't go to the horse's mouth and make your own decision with your own two eyes, your own two ears, and your own mind, don't just go based off what someone else says and repeat it like a peacock or a bird. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a parrot and just say what other people think. That's why I want to do this podcast, is make people become more open minded and think for themselves and just stop thinking other people's thoughts and repeating it. You know, I want you to actually dig deep with your own mind and be able to delve into things and problem solve on your own, and be able to not rely on other people's opinions to form a group, and be okay with not like being friends with certain people because they have different opinions or they're ignorant and they don't want to be more open minded. You know, that's not good for your health. You should be more healthy and happy and try to focus on your mental health and happiness. At the end of the
Amen.
day, bro, I feel like over everyone, if
I
you got a
agree.
toxic person, bro, you should just cut them out.
Yeah. You said it perfectly, Bear. Like, I agree. Amen to that. Perfect.
All right, so we just got real for you real quick. So we're talking about something else that's real that just happened. McGregor.
Shit, man. I saw that video. Ooh.
Dude, the freeze
That looks
frame.
fucking yup. That
Oh my
looks
god.
crazy. And so I'm not quite sure. So was it a loss to him or was it a tie?
No, it was a loss.
Well, how? I mean, there